I'm here today with Mark Nelson, who's a metalsmith, and he has a really great project to show us, and it's house numbers made from bronze metal clay that you put a vintage patina on.
Yeah.
Now, that's great because we've been talking about vintage inspiration.
Excellent. Yeah, I got this project actually from my friend Yvonne Padilla, and it's a great project, and I had to do it because I need numbers for my house.
Oh, well, there you go.
And it's a very simple project. What we need to do is roll out some bronze clay, texture it, and then we'll shape it into some numbers and go from there.
Okay, great.
What I'm going to start with is some thickness guides, and they have to be about 10 cards thick. These need to be pretty thick to be substantial. So I stacked them up to about 10 cards.
And is it important, the work surface that you roll it out on? What are you working on here?
I'm working on a work surface that's covered with a protective cover, just so it keeps it cleaner longer.
Okay.
And I do prep the surface with lubricant.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
All right.
Because this clay is sticky, and you want to put some on your hands too.
And you always keep your clay in an airtight package when you're not using it.
Airtight package, and actually in this particular clay works a little bit better if you store it in the refrigerator right before you use it.
All right.
It stays together a little bit easier. So you're just going to knead this together a little bit. And I have found that these are really big numbers. So it takes, I can get maybe 2 numbers per 100 grams.
Okay.
So that's good to know too. And you got to roll it out pretty wide. So I start this way. Now, how I got my numbers is I went on the computer and I picked a font that I liked and found the numbers, and then I just did the biggest size font I could find. Sometimes you have to do the little pull down on the menu.
To make it as big as you can.
As big as you can. And you print it out, and you, what you're going to do is print it out like here. And what I did is I copied these out on cardstock and cut out the cardstock because it's a little stiffer and it's a little easier to use as a template. So you're just going to roll this out as big as you can, get that number on there, and see if this is going to be good.
You're getting close.
Getting close. Just a little taller. And then actually I'm going to put a little texture on here. You don't necessarily have to, but texture is going to take a patina much nicer.
Right, it'll create that
Exactly.
cracks and crevices for it to hold on to.
That antique feel, kind of. So I'm doing pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is take a texture that I like and lube this up just a little bit too, because this has to come off pretty easily.
And you could use rubber stamps. You're using a texture plate here.
Sure, anything you like. Just smearing around. Get that right there.
Okay.
And then it's going to get it real fast. And that's going to increase the size of the plate too.
So you just roll it out a little bit.
Right. And you're going to take your template, take it like that, and then take your knife and go ahead and cut it out. And do a pretty good job. It's less work that you have to do later, the more time you take down.
And working at home, you're going to be really, really careful with this sharp knife, right?
Yes. They will cut you quicker than you know.
Okay, so once you've got this all cut out, then you're going to lay it on this towel for it to dry.
Yes. Lay it on the towel to dry.
All right.
And you got to be careful not to break anything. And we'll just set that over there to dry.
Okay.
And what we're going to do, once it's dry, is my favorite part.
All right.
I like to carve. And this clay, I get so confused because it starts off as clay and then goes to metal.
I know, it's kind of amazing.
I know. Carving's
You can call it either one.
You can.
Yeah.
My favorite part is carving. And so what I do is I lay out an edge
Okay.
with a divider.
And how long would you say that it takes to dry? Is this something that you're
It
leaving
depends.
overnight?
You can leave it overnight. If you put it on a warming tray, it goes much faster.
Okay.
It just depends on your schedule.
You could speed it along with a hairdryer, maybe.
Sure.
And it is going to shrink a little bit as it dries.
A little bit. Most of the shrinkage is going to be during firing.
Oh, okay.
So you can see the difference in sizes between the twos.
Okay. So while as you're carving then, this is taking away the dry clay, the top layer.
Right. I'm just kind of chipping away at it.
And this is going to create the border around the textured surface, so it really brings out that color.
Exactly.
Right.
And I like that difference in textures because it's like a little frame. You carve it however you like, if you want or not, and use sandpaper to really, fine tune it. I have found that the bronze is more difficult to work in metal than it is the clay.
Okay.
Because it is so hard. Also, you got to think about how you're going to mount it. Are you going to use nails, screws?
You want to prepare it before before you fire.
Are you going to glue them on? With an industrial glue. If you're going to use nails, you'll need to put some holes in here. You can do this by hand, just with a drill bit. Just make sure your drill bit's big enough that when you put your screws in, that they'll fit. Because you're going to have some shrinkage in the holes.
Right. And so once you have it prepped, then you fire.
Then you fire. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to put an activated carbon. And we found that if you put it in sideways, like this, you can fit 4 or 5 numbers in at once, and keep it about 1 inch from the front. Like this part right here will be towards the door, and you want to cover it with the carbon.
Inside the tray.
Exactly. And fire for a long firing time.
Okay.
It's about 9 hours long, and that'll be on the instructions.
Okay, perfect. And then so to finish it up, you're going to brush the surface?
You can do anything you need to do. You can file it, sand it, brush it. One of the very last things that you will do is put a patina on there.
Okay. And you chose the green patina.
We did the green patina, did the whole thing, and then sanded the edges to make it nice and bright and shiny.
All right, well, let's look at the finished piece. You can see the patina and the bright edges there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
Next, we head on location to Santa Fe to meet Beth Botek and Marlene Blessing.